A lot of Viking stuff rolling in here throughout the week. I believe it's pronounced Michael Smestad via the SKOR North app. And he says, please tell Jugs, instead of doubling down on his completely inaccurate assessment of Kellen Mond, he needs to just accept the L and move on.
What is up with people? What is up with people?
Well, why are you so down on a guy that threw 2 touchdowns? Michael.
Well, Michael, I'm going to talk to you directly here because, Mike, you need Sports Dad right now. Now, I appreciate the fact that, you know what? Kellen Mond is a Viking. In my sense is you're a Viking fan, and we embrace you for that. We appreciate you listening, but the reality is this. I am not down on Mond. I am giving you the accurate dope on Mond. Don't be misled by those false prophets who go to TCO and feed you the sugar-coated candy Vikings company line. And look, the preseason games are awesome. I love football too. But the preseason games are a very, very small part of the development that we desire by looking at the good and bad to get to a Super Bowl championship. So I appreciate you. I like your question. I like where your head's at. But again, the false prophets are not your friends.
Did you guys?
Uh-oh. Oh, no. He's cutting in and out. Now he's throwing the mic around. This is getting bad. Don't trash your hotel room, dude. Don't do it.
This is WWE promo stuff where he's tossing the mic at this point.
The Hubbards will not be happy.
He's sick of this. He's not happy with it.
In fact, actually, you know what? Trash your room. And let's just see it. Forget the sound.
Grab the
let's
chair.
Just see
trash your room. There's some great WWE promos in hotel bedrooms. So, and I don't mean that pun intended or any type of innuendo.
No.
There's been some great stuff that has happened there.
I've always thought one of the most interesting trashing hotel room phases, rock stars in the 70s, it feels like, and 80s.
Right.
Like it felt like once a week somebody, David Lee Roth, Poison, would trash their room. I feel like that is a staple.
That's definitely going to be me here, I think. Yeah, this mic cord is definitely it's on slide. It's not the room's fault. It's my microphone cord.
But I'm saying entertainment. If you did trash your room, like we can't hear you, so just do something fun.
Sure. Yeah. I'll do that. I'll take a sledgehammer to these lamps or something in the back.
All right, bass guitar.
Okay, what I was trying to ask is, did you guys dive into at all on Purple Daily this week without me the JT O'Sullivan YouTube film breakdown of Kellen Mond?
We mentioned it. Didn't break it down completely.
So there's some really good stuff in this. If you guys, so JT O'Sullivan, who I think is a former Vikings camp quarterback, did they draft him?
Practice squad.
Okay,
he was a practice squad guy with the Packers and Vikings.
Way back in the day, and he has a YouTube channel that's just crushing. It's called I think it's called the QB School, and he just breaks down film of college quarterbacks, NFL quarterbacks, and he broke down for a half hour Kellen Mond film earlier this week on his YouTube podcast. And there was one play in particular. So he had some good things to say, and he did have some, especially toward the end of the game when he got into some of that. But there was one throw in particular that he stayed on for like 5 or 6 minutes, and he's like, super red flag here, like red flag when it comes to field vision and everything, and so I'm going to try and explain this for the audio audience. But there was a post route up. So as you're looking at the TV footage, top of your screen, there was a post route. So receiver runs out like 10 yards, and then he cuts inside and angles toward the middle of the field. No safety help over the top, but he's got the cornerback beat inside. So it's one of those. There's no linebackers drifting back. It's just a wide open throw over the middle for 15 yards. And he said, when this type of look happens, it is just like you don't get looks like this as an NFL quarterback very often. It's just an automatic 15-yard completion right over the middle. He didn't see it, and instead he threw into tight double coverage down the right sideline with his receiver kind of squeezed up against the sideline. Interceptable ball that wasn't picked off. And he just, and again, this is a young quarterback that's processing for the first time, and he did come back from it and have a good fourth quarter. Yep. But that was a really interesting breakdown, and a bunch of people have, like Paul Liu via the SKOR North, a bunch of people have sent that link of that YouTube video. So I think on one hand, you look and say, yeah, Kellen Mond had a couple nice drives, a couple nice little touchdown passes, and the numbers look pretty darn good, and Pro Football Focus had him as the second best rated quarterback of all the quarterbacks that played in the first preseason week. But then when you dive into the film study and listen to some smart people break it down, they say, ooh, you can't be missing opportunities like that if you want to be in an actual NFL regular season game. Doesn't mean that he can't get better next week, the week after. No.
Right.
But yeah, there were some red flags in an otherwise like pretty good statistical performance for Kellen Mond.
Yeah, and so on the play that you're talking about too, I think it was BC Johnson possibly, who was the receiver. The cornerback trips, and so like he ends up. But you know what too, and here's why Mond's a 3 and not a 2, because he's nowhere near this. O'Sullivan talked about throwing guys open, and like Kirk struggles with that at times. Mond right now has no clue how to, and I'm with you, dude. He might develop. I'm not saying there's no chance here. I said after that game, I've gone from practice squad to he might be a 3, but that film breakdown to me again showed he can't be a 2 unless you don't care. And what I'm more concerned about is his development. And if you put him in a regular season game right now with the blitz packages and all of the things the team show that the Raiders certainly didn't show, I think you set him up to fail. He also had the pass, which was a simple miss, but a bad one to the fullback on that screen pass, where he basically spiked the ball by accident. And the one thing O'Sullivan didn't bring up, but if you go back and watch this, it's really intriguing. His footwork is awful right now. His footwork is absolutely on the fullback pass. The reason why he basically accidentally spiked it was he decides, and I don't know why, not to set himself at all, and he's sort of jumping as he throws the ball. Now he's got a good arm, but if your mechanics aren't good, you're screwed. Go back and watch, and this guy had faults. I get it, okay, but go back and watch Favre, and Favre had a cannon for a bleeping arm. But in particular, go back and watch his throws and watch how hard he worked to set himself to throw. He would literally plant his feet. And this is a man with a cannon. So like if Mond's saying, well, I got a good arm. Well, that's great, dude. But you've got to have, and I'm not saying you can't get away with throws. You definitely can. But if your default is, oh, I can just make the throw on arm strength, that's not true. So like, yes, there's a lot of things that Mond has to learn. And the most important thing too is I'm willing to go down this path. Last year was a lost year. It's unfortunate, but it's probably true. And so I don't hate him, but I do think that he is very much a work in progress.
Yeah. Yep, I think, and I'm curious to see what he looks like. Another practice against San Francisco.
Absolutely.
And preseason game. There is improvement to be made. Let's get to our next one here on this Feedback Friday on a Thursday from Fani via the SKOR North app. Been a loyal listener for 2 years now. Love your guys' content. Thank you. I think it should be noted that Mike Zimmer actually did not have the 2021 draft picks in the doghouse. Looks like they were just bad picks by Rick. Wyatt Davis, Chaz Surratt, and Janarius Robinson, etc., those guys were in the doghouse, quote unquote. But the players who were good, Darisaw, Cam Bynum, Patrick Jones, did get the opportunity to play, and they were good. Yeah, I mean, let me spin this a different way, too. When you look at the 2021 draft class, and I'm not saying that Rick Spielman should be brought back because of this opinion, but Darisaw looks like a good draft pick. Mond, Surratt, Wyatt Davis, Janarius Robinson, they all look like potential busts. Patrick Jones looks like a good draft pick. Kene Nwangwu, Cam Bynum look like good draft picks. Emir Smith-Marset looks like a good draft pick. Zach Davidson might get some run,
my man,
at tight end. So if you wind up with like 4 or 5 contributing starting caliber players and a franchise left tackle, that's a good draft.
Right.
Even if you whiffed on 3 third-round picks, it's a good. If you wind up with 3, 4, or 5 starting caliber players and a franchise left tackle.
Yep.
So I don't have as much of a problem with that draft as I have a problem with the lack of connection and communication between the GM and the head coach as they build the roster. But the draft looks pretty good, actually.
And I guess my question on Mond is this. Is he a bust, or was he done wrong and that has hurt him because he basically has a lost year? I think the worst pick from that draft in retrospect now, given draft position and expectations, Wyatt Davis. Like, it looks like he can't play.
Yeah.
And I did hear that there were people in that building that were like, Rick, do not do this. And I mean, he took him in the third round. So are there problems? Yes. But my biggest problem with Rick will always be this, drafting-wise, the quarterback problem. So, like, because, yeah, you're going to miss on picks. I would hope that you don't miss on potentially the amount of third-round picks that Rick appears to have whiffed on from 2021. But yeah, that draft, like if it comes together as it currently is constructed, it doesn't look terrible. It's just that certain parts look awful. Yeah. Third round.
Yep. We got plenty more feedback here for sure. At least 2 or 3 more good ones here. But let's shout out our friends who are helping us keep lakeside areas clean for these summer months. Declan.
Yeah, that would be Aquaside and Aquaside pellets. You know, you can't throw Aquaside pellets on third-round draft picks to make them go away, but you can throw them, you know, on the lake weed and the algae to make it go away. You know, you don't want to do that with the draft picks. It works great in the water, and it's a safe product, too. It's registered with the EPA and the DNR, so you're not just throwing some willy-nilly product into your lake that could pollute it or whatnot. It's a safe product. They're located in White Bear Lake in the metro area here, but you can also order their pellets online at their website, a great, easy-to-use website. Aquaside.com to learn more. Go to aquaside.com to remove that nasty lake weed and algae.
Also, if you're bad at finding gifts for loved ones or maybe your wife or girlfriend, I always kind of struggle with ideas because I'm just not good at that. But spiral-like candles might be the way to go.
That's exactly right. And here's the thing, too, is it doesn't it's a great gift for her, mom, girlfriend, wife. But, guys, what if I told you this? What if I told you it's a great gift for yourself as well? And now you're like, Judd, what are you talking about? A candle? Awesome. And I say, yes, because what I have right here in my hand is Judd's Purple Positivity Candle. And I'm going to continue to tell you this. Watching a Vikings game is stressful enough. You're pacing. You might be dropping some curse words because you want your team to win. And you know what's going to calm you down? You know what? You're going to take a deep breath and you are going to inhale just a marvelous fragrance. And that is because of Spiralite, a candle that burns down like this. And then there's a wick at the bottom. This puppy can burn throughout a Vikings game and cause you to basically be one with the game. SpiraliteCandles.com. SpiraliteCandles.com. Again, marvelous gifts, marvelous fragrance, and also for yourself. Let's all do it together.
Kirk took another sack. Kirk held the ball too long.
SpiraliteCandles.com.
Amazing. Kincaid Hughes via the SKOR North app says, hello, SKOR North crew. I started watching your podcast about 6 months ago. Now I can't stop checking YouTube for your videos. Thank you very much, Kincaid. Appreciate that. I'm 21 years old, going into my senior year of college. I've been a Minnesota fan my whole life and have never been more excited about the Timberwolves in particular. I'd love to get a chance to be on Write That Down. By the way, yeah, just hit up Declan. Send Declan a DM on Twitter or whatever.
I emailed him back, actually. He sent that email to me as well. So, yes, he will gladly get him on.
I love the win a championship before I die stuff. Thanks for always putting out great content and being a true Minnesota sports fan. I will say this: you're 21 years old, you were born in 2001. You know, I'm always kind of fascinated by the generations and the differences. And like, there's the grizzled old Patrick Royces of the world who've just seen everything from 1960 going forward, and then there's the kind of the Judd is older than I am, but we came along a little bit after the Vikings lost Super Bowls. Like, you remember maybe one of them
vaguely
as a kid.
The last one, vaguely, yes.
I was more like mid to late 90s Vikings, and then Declan was kind of the early 2000s representing the 2009 Heartbreak. But if you were born in the early 2000s and you barely remember the Brett Favre throw across his body in 2009,
17?
You still have quite a bit of heartbreak, right? There's the 2017. There's the Blair Walsh miss against Seattle.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
You've seen a couple coaching changes.
You know what, Phil? You just hit on a great idea. We can actually break Vikings fans up like Gen X.
Yes.
Because so like Royce would be the Super Bowl years, right?
What would we need to come up with names for these generations?
No, exactly. And then like you and I would actually, you're right, we'd fall, despite the fact that we have very different ages, we would fall in different we would fall in almost the same category because we're NFC Championship game.
Well, I think you'd name the generations either after a disappointment or after a figurehead. So generation 4 Super Bowls.
Yep.
4 Super Bowl losses. We'd have to shorten that. You were sort of you'd be like generation
Choke. Because
all of them.
yeah.
Because
all of the whole history is choke.
Well, actually, the Super Bowls for the most part aren't. They got done in most.
How old were you for the push? How old were you for the push off?
6, or was that? It was 1975.
I was 5, and I didn't watch it. Like I didn't care at that point.
Yeah, I would say that I'm generation wide left. Gary Anderson.
Yep.
I was 12 years old when that happened. I'm generation wide left.
That's a good point because I go back to the '87 Darren Nelson, Wade Wilson sort of drop pass against Washington as well. So I do have. So I'm more of a. Your
generation Burns. Little double meaning. Jerry Burns and like being a Vikings.
Too.
Oh,
because
wow.
I was 19.
You're the
Herschel trade.
Generation Herschel Walker trade.
We got to take this to market. I don't know how, but I love this. This is a great idea.
Okay, let's
21-year-old just gave us this idea.
I will send a tweet out right after we get done here and say we're trying to name the Vikings heartbreak generations. Okay.
Right.
All right, I like this. Okay, and then Nicholas Jacob sends one in here via the SKOR North app, and he's referencing what started off as a gas station or obscure sandwich ranking that I did on an Action Movie Rewind episode.
And he's right, by the way.
Yeah. And then last week we discovered there was an article saying that the Subway tuna sandwich that I love there was like a study done. They've sampled 20 different Subways, and there's no actual traceable, detectable tuna in those sandwiches. And so Nicholas Jacob has more information here. He is, by the way, a geneticist from Germany, so he knows what he's talking about here.
Oh, my God.
He says, Phil, I need to throw some drama into the discussion about the tuna sandwich from Subway. There was one major flaw from the study that you mentioned on the show the other day. Because they tested cooked and processed tuna, the tuna DNA was likely already denatured due to the processing procedure, which involves high pressure and temperature during canning. This would make the tuna undetectable. Likely, the study picked up for the other meats that were found in it trace amounts of these other detectable